Hello and welcome to World Calligraphy is Meditation Day. I recognize some of your faces from some of the other sessions, so welcome back. And welcome to you if this is your first session. And we are here today with Heather Martinez, and we are so happy that Heather is here with us. And she's at letslettertogether.com. She's an artist, facilitator, and author from Durango, Colorado, who beautifully blends lettering, love, and life lessons. Today, Heather's going to invites us to explore how creativity can help us honor grief and keep love visible. She'll guide us through loss, turning loss into ritual through writing prompts and hand lettered words. It's not about perfection, it's about pausing, feeling, and creating something meaningful together. Heather, please take it away.
I want to welcome everyone. I'm so pleased that you've chosen to spend time today with us, your hands, your breath, and take a deep breath, your grief. So, today we're going to invite grief to speak through our calligraphy as a form of meditation in a gentle, spacious way without any pressure. And if it gives you comfort, I invite you to type in the chat what you're grieving today. You don't have to, but if it feels right to you, and I'll do the same, if you can find that chat box, you can just type in what is it that you might be grieving today? And I'd like to dedicate this session to my beloved Ray, my best friend, and my husband of 23 years as my continued devotion to him. Thank you, Angie. So, my name is Heather Leavitt Martinez. I'm a lettering artist, I'm a published author, and a recent widow navigating my way through the world of grief. And I believe that there are many ways that we can grieve. And one way that I personally grieve that allows deep feelings and growth is to write about it and transform it into something tangible, memorable, and for me, comforting. I will be guiding you through a simple prompt today, two simple prompts. I have many others that I have developed, and I'll be sharing in an upcoming workbook and upcoming sessions. So, while my lived experience is losing my beloved Ray, you may be experiencing a different kind of grief. For me, grief is love that has nowhere to go, and it's infinite. So it keeps going. But I recognize that not all grief is like this. Sometimes a loss could be that of a job, a lifestyle, a dream, a distant loved one, a pet, or someone who you may have had a complex relationship with. Grief can be very nuanced and it can be complicated. So I just want to honor that we're not all here for the same type of grief. So you may be here for one or even all of these many different reasons. And I want you to know that all are welcome here and that your grief belongs. So thank you for having the courage for logging on and being here. And yes, tears are welcome. Um, I also want to remind you that these rituals, these practices that I'm going to be sharing with you, are not here for us to ruminate, but hopefully to transform or at least give you some type of practice that will give you comfort. So, thank you for having the courage for logging on and being here today. So, before we begin, I'd like to share a little bit about what's on my desk, and I will plop in the chat. If for some reason you're coming on just a little bit late, not to worry. I'm going to pop in the chat some of the things that you may want to have on hand. And as you'll see on my desktop here, I don't know how what the quality looks like here on my end. It's not so great, but that might be my um, it might be on my end. Maybe you're seeing this a little bit better, but I will be offering sessions like this in the future. So what I have here right now is, of course, my very favorite black wing pencil, and nice and sharpened. And I also have a pencil sharpener nearby if I need it. My Neuland Big One art marker. This is the largest art marker, brush nib marker in the world. You can use any tool that you want. We'll be using some paper and some pencil to get started today. This is just a black wing notebook. It's called a reporter's notebook. As you can see, it's really easy to hold in one hand. So I take this with me everywhere I go. and some paper. So any kind of paper goes. You can use whatever you feel most comfortable with. I also have a candle. This is a candle that I often light when I'm meditating and connecting with my beloved Ray. So, of course, I have some photos here of him, and a double terminated rose quartz. So, again, whatever is special to you, I invite you to bring that in to your space. And so I'd like to light a candle. Some of you do light candle lighting rituals. Some of you might be new to that, and that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and light this. And whenever I'm at my altar, I have a very shallow dish. But when I'm at my desktop where there's paper and things that are quite flammable, or I honestly don't need a hazmat situation. What I'll do is I will take some of this wax and I will melt it in the bottom of what is a very deep dish bowl. So I'm just going to melt a little bit of wax there until these two come together.
Heather, can I ask a question? Someone asked in
Yeah.
the chat, can you please repeat the name of the big brush pen and then I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, absolutely. It's called a Neuland, Neuland, Big One Art. And I can also give you all a ambassador code if you want to get 15% off their products at
Thank
Neuland.com.
you. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just melt a little bit of wax there so that that will hold. It's still a little wet, but this will burn off here pretty quickly. And so I'm lighting this candle now as a symbol of our shared intention to bring a gentle light to grief, to listen without rushing, and to honor what wants to be heard. So may your hands move with the rhythm of what matters most. May the words that rise reveal not just your grief, but the love and the meaning that still lives within you. And now is a really good time to call in any support you may need, be that your muse, spirit guides, angels, God, or the divine. Whatever your belief or practice, bring it into your space and your being. So all of that is belongs here. I'm going to move it out of the way, of course, so that I don't spill it over or something catches on fire. But have those special things nearby and within your reach, or at least within your focus. So, what I'd like to do now is just take a moment and take you through a five senses grounding exercise. Now, the reason why I like to do a grounding exercise, especially around the senses, is to bring us back into our body. Sometimes when we're in our head, we ruminate, and that doesn't really help us much. And so we process both through movement and through embodiment. So let's take a moment to arrive fully here. We'll gently explore our five senses to ground ourselves into the present, and there's no need to rush. I'll guide you through this process. And so, since it's the five senses, I'd like you to start by notice one thing that you can see right now. Maybe it's the light through a window, the texture of your paper that's on your desk, or the pencil or mark making tool in your hand. Now, listen carefully to one or two of the sounds around you. Might be distant birds, it might be a clock ticking, or it could be your own breath. And then feel the contact of your body with the chair, if you're sitting down, or the floor. And notice the sensation of what that feels like. What do your feet on the ground feel like? What do your hands feel like if they're resting on the table or in your lap? And then take a gentle sniff. Is there a scent in your space? Perhaps it's the candle. Or if you're like me, I like to spray things like lavender or rose, things that will help me calm me down or get me into the space of inspiration. And then notice if there's any taste in your mouth right now. If it's morning, it might be coffee, it might be tea, it might be breakfast, maybe you just brushed your teeth, or it might be neutral and it might just be subtle. So then I'd like to invite you to take all of that in, feel that, And maybe rest your eyes in a place in front of you, maybe even a candle if you've had it, or a special object. And take a nice, slow, deep breath starting from the belly. Feel your sits bones in your seat, your chair confidently holding you if you're standing. Feel into your hips and how your feet are confidently holding you on the floor. And feel your body soften as you exhale. And what I like to do is inhale, and if I count to myself, whatever that inhale is, when you exhale, exhale longer by the count of 2 or 3 if you can, longer than your inhale. And what that does is it actually slows down your heart rate. And when you're ready, bring your attention gently back to the space, carrying this calm and awareness with you. So, anyone have any questions? Feel free to put those in the chat. I will be watching those. I love it when you type 3 question marks and then ask your question. Then um, I don't have to look and read everything while I'm trying to talk, or feel free to unmute if you have any timely, relevant questions that aren't going to interrupt the process. And Angie, feel free to chime in anytime if there's anyone that has a question.
Angie's too busy bawling.
I, well, and this isn't meant to be a ball fest, but you're
No,
welcome
no,
to
no,
if
but
you need
no, I
to.
have a,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just, oh my gosh, I'm just here.
Yes, and I love that, and I want everyone to be present with whatever you're feeling. And I just want to remind you all that grief isn't just about what's gone. It's about what mattered. It's about how we know something was deeply important to us. So instead of trying to explain or fix our grief today, we're simply going to let it speak from a place of care. And so go ahead and get your paper and your materials ready. Again, for those who may have missed it or just come in, because we've had a lot of people come in the last couple of minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put those things that you're going to want to have on hand in front of you. And so I'm just going to take some paper and my pencil, and we're going to start out with a very simple prompt to begin with. And it's only going to be for 3 minutes. I grieve this because, and this is, why is this important to you? Why is your grief important? So I grieve this because, and all we're going to do is free write. So you can write this sentence multiple times and end it with something. You can let new meanings unfold. You can let your hands flow. And whatever you miss, what's changed, what you long for, not to dwell on the loss, but just to name it and why it's meaningful. And just remember, all emotions are welcome here. Doesn't have to be nice writing either. This can be just for you. Remember, we're free writing here. We're not editing, right? So just get it all out. There are no wrong answers here, only truths worth listening to. And if you're unsure what to write about, gently return to the phrase, I grieve this, whatever that is, because. Spelling doesn't matter either. You'll know what it means. Now go ahead and finish up that time. Oh, I apologize for the chicken alarm. So look back at what you wrote. Now, I like to limit my first free write to 3 minutes because it gets me into the writing process and it keeps me from ruminating. And if I find myself ruminating, that's that feeling of the thought going over and over in your head. All I do is I pause, I breathe, and sometimes I even hum to gently begin again. So let's look a little bit deeper. Let's look at what you've written here. If there's anything that stands out to you that feels good, you have energy around, circle it, underline it, whatever sticks out. You may have written one word, that's enough, or you may have written a lot of things. Whatever that is, circle it, underline it, and then let's let that go. We'll come back to that later. And now let's look a little bit deeper inside of your grief. Beneath the ache is something strong. I want to remind you that grief is the evidence of something good, something valuable, and something worth remembering. Now, we're not here to bypass the pain. We're here to listen for the meaning inside of it. So let's take a moment. I'm going to come back to my camera here because it's probably helps you remember that I'm a person and I'm not just a pad of paper and a pencil, right? So again, we're not bypassing this pain, we're listening to it. So let's take a moment to tune into our hearts. And I invite you to place your left hand over your heart and notice any sensations you might feel. You might want to come back to the breath. Notice your heart beating or the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. And now, breathing deep from your belly, bring the breath up to your heart. And if you can, pause. And while you pause, increase that love, that energy that is coming into this area and expand. Imagine it expanding as you breathe out. And breathe out slowly. And again, if you can, longer than you breathed in. Do this a couple of times. Breathe in from the belly up to the chest and out slowly and with ease. And if you expel as much air out of your lungs as possible, you'll notice that the in-breath comes in almost automatically. Now, the next one I'll give you, and again, how did 3 minutes feel to you? Was that like enough? Did you need a little bit more? I'm getting some nods. That's some thumbs up. Okay, great. Yeah. Again, if you go too long, then you start thinking too much. It's like, just let all of this out. Yeah, thank you. All right. So the next one, the next prompt, and this will be our final prompt, and you can keep coming back and using these or writing these, is what still lives in me is. And let me just write a few things or say a few things, and then we'll get to writing. So maybe it's a value like love, kindness, loyalty, play. Maybe it's a connection. Maybe it's a lesson, a vow, a strength that you didn't even know you had. Now, again, we want to write freely. What still lives in me is, but don't try to edit. And you're welcome to be poetic, but don't force it. Whatever wants to speak and land on the page. So let's take 3 minutes. What still lives in me? And remember, our handwriting is not important. Our spelling is not important here. We're just free writing. Right about the halfway mark. So please feel free to ask yourself again, what still lives in me is. And this is from whatever wants to come up. It can be from them, it can be from you. If you do guided writing, it could be from your guides. Okay, go ahead and finish up whatever's coming for you. I have to remind myself to change that tone. And now, no matter what you wrote, if it was just a word or two, or if it was a lot, go back through. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty or neat. Go back through and just see what calls out to you. What is still true for you? Looking back over your page, is there something that stands out? It could be a word or a short phrase, something that feels solid, meaningful, resonant. Underline it, circle it, maybe even write it again. And this is what we're going to take to our lettering. So there's something that sticks out. There's a few words. You might want to write them again. There's no wrong answers. And it might be that you just have one thing you want to write. It might be that you want to write more than one thing, but you can decide in just a moment. Just have a few things that you can refer to. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is just do a quick brush lettering demo. Some of you have come here just for that, and that's completely fine. Hold that. You can take, as long as you've written a few of these things, just put that aside for now. And I'm going to be using what's called a Neuland brush marker, and I will write what that is here. Let me see if this marker has some juice in it. We'll see. Neuland is a company that makes professional um, markers for visual practitioners, graphic recorders, graphic facilitators. If you don't know what that is, I can answer some questions at the end. And this is called the Neuland Big One Art Marker. This one is called a number one because it's smaller, but this one's the big one. And
Jody kindly put the link to that in the
oh,
chat.
yeah.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Jody.
it.
That's great. And I'm really quickly, since we're right here, to get 15% off at Neuland.com at that same link. And you might have to change it to English if that's your language. Don't worry if it shows up German. The voucher code is AMB280094. And just type that in when you check out and you'll get 15% off. So, a couple of things about brush lettering that I like to remind folks, and I'll just do a little bit of an anatomy here, is when we're brush lettering, we are mainly using the side of the brush. If you use the very tip, that's great for writing, but you don't want to use very much pressure there because it can break down the tip of your brush. So, if you are going to use the tip, you want to go very, very lightly. And one of my favorite ways to test a brush nib, and you might see that this one's starting to fray, and they fray just by use, but a lot of these, and Neuland markers, if you don't already know, is these nibs are replaceable, and the ink, the markers themselves are refillable. So I have some markers that are close to, I would say, 10, 11, 12 years old. So I start every time I have some kind of a brush marker or mark making tool by holding my marker as horizontal to the paper as possible. This is not how I'm going to write, but I do hold it horizontal and I put a lot of pressure, and that shows me the widest line I can make. And then I bring it up just a little bit and use a little bit less pressure and up a little bit more to where it might be more comfortable, use even less pressure, and then the very lightest line. And these are all downstrokes. So the rule is thick down. And then if I hold my brush tool with the tip of the nib down and I go up very lightly, the rule is thin up. So if you're new to brush lettering, as long as you do thick down, thin up, and then if you want to watch some of my strokes, you're going to notice that I'm using that technique. So any questions so far about using a brush marker? I'm going to share a quick brush lettering demo. You can watch, follow along, or write in any style that you want. And so here's how I test it. The rule is thick down, thin up. So, and it's also perpendicular. So notice if I point my marker down and to the left, and if you're a lefty, you might go up and to the right, and I use the wide part of my marker. Perpendicular, meaning I am pointing the tip of my nib using the side of my marker to get the thick stroke. And then if I just drag up, I'm still pointing it in the same direction, but thin drag up, I'm going to get thick downs and thin ups. Okay. Now I know that in popular, modern, contemporary calligraphy, a lot of times we'll practice this thick down and then thin up and then thick down, and I never go past this amount. What I mean by that is even if I start with thin up and thick down and thin up, I don't make an entire wave like this because it actually creates bad muscle memory. And so I like to practice. If I'm going to go thin up, thick down, and thin up, I'm actually going to use the stroke a lot when I'm writing other letters. For instance, you might see this in a letter H, right? And so this stroke is very popular. This
That
stroke,
was
not
such a great takeaway, I have to say, about the continuous. That's
yeah,
so
I'm
right.
sorry. I know a lot of people like to do that as a warm up, but I don't think it's helpful.
That's wow.
So yeah, thin up, thick down, thin up, and I always stop halfway on the upstroke because that's going to help me connect to my next letter. And so some of you might be like, what is this paper you're writing on? Well, I designed this learning pad. It's a hand lettering learning pad that's put out by Neuland. I designed this I'd say about probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it's built for the #1 art marker. And it's made so that you can practice your letters and get them all in proportion and the spacing. So I built it all so that you don't have to learn spacing separately from the letters. But I'm going to use both of these markers interchangeably so you can see them. Okay. And normally I teach what I call is the brush lettering that I use is italic based. Many of you might be familiar with copperplate based brush lettering, so this is going to be slightly different. And I'm going to show a couple of other different types of lettering that I've learned from others, but I'll give you who I learned them from so you can learn it from them. You won't learn it from me. Now, normally I teach lettering by families because all of these have similar shapes in them. But right now, just for time's sake, I'm going to do a quick demo. So I'm going to just set this aside in case any of you want to take a screenshot of that. This is the way that I would normally practice my letters or teach them. And I also have a couple of classes online at letslettertogether.com. My Unlock Your Neuland Markers has a free demo on brush lettering, and then I have brush lettering fun. So I'm just going to do a quick demo of how I write brush lettering in the italic style. Now, I hold the tip of my nib up and to the left. For lefties, you may go down and to the right. It might be more comfortable for you. And whatever stroke that I'm doing as a righty, as a lefty, if I'm pushing, you're pulling. If I'm pulling, you're pushing, right? And if you are a lefty, definitely reach out to me. You're welcome to private message me because I also give free sessions to lefties who take my classes. So know that I love working with lefties. So with my A, this will be my A, and I'm just going to do the entire alphabet so that you can see it. You'll notice that some of my letters I don't connect in this particular lettering style. And my brush marker is just a little bit on the rough side. It's not a brand new marker, so it's a little bit thicker than normal. So I might be going over some of these guidelines a little bit. Remember, as you write, thick down, thin up. You might have noticed that K had a lot going on in it, and I changed the angle of my marker. And again, you can use any lettering style. You're using a brush, even if you're writing in print, you might enjoy trying it, doing the thick down, thin up. Sorry, I can't always talk very well when I'm writing. I always love it when I can finish an entire alphabet on one page. Who's with me? I'm going to do a print Z or Z just because it's so fun and I want to show you this little move here. Notice I'm going to move my marker down into the left, and if you're a lefty, up into the right, because again, we're doing the perpendicular. So we want to hold that. I just went thick to thin. So any questions? Yep, we've got a great question in the chat. Any questions about brush lettering? Sap is asking, how do you practice spacing? Your letters are always uneven. So you'll notice that when I'm using this particular tool, and let me see if I can get my exposure down a little bit. I don't know if you can see these vertical lines that are in here. Notice that, my stem here, my stem here. It kind of went off a little bit because this marker is really thick, but notice that these are all my stems are showing up here. With this particular marker, it's easy to be able to practice with. And so what I'm doing is, again, that when I bring my upstroke here and I end it at a halfway point out at about, the same width as my in, this would be like an in dash, right? Width, then what that allows me to do is space out my work. So I'm not flicking up, I'm very carefully bringing my connecting stroke up. Now, spacing, I will say, is the hardest thing for us to learn when we come to letters, right? We can learn the form and then the spacing can be really hard. So in dash or M dash. So great question. Your in dash is going to be this wide. Your M dash is this wide, right? And so an important thing to notice, no matter what lettering style you're using, you want to find your mother shape or your mother letter. And what that means is, for this particular lettering style, even though the O is very popular as a mother shape or size, it's actually the A, the D, this shape here, the Q and the G, that's my mother shape because it's an italic shape. And that width is going to be the width of most of my letters, with the exception of the M and the W. But most all of the letters, those are going to be wider, and the I, of course, is going to be more narrow. But that's going to give us the width. And if you use that same width in your spacing, that's going to help you with spacing. So that was sort of a quick deep dive into spacing. If anybody
Okay.
has, yeah, Angie.
Mind blown. Mind blown.
That's sweet of you to say.
No, so many ahas in this,
Well,
honestly.
yes, and I have to say that I had to figure that out the hard way because when I first learned brush lettering, I learned the forms of all the letters and not the spacing, and then I had to learn spacing later, and that
Right.
didn't help, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I
This
love this
question.
question. Yeah.
Oh, you see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you pair your inhale with ascending thin strokes and your exhale with descending thicker strokes? That's an excellent question. Sometimes I do, especially if I'm working really big. So if I'm working with now a couple of things. First, you can't completely like breathe normally and letter and inhale and exhale. You might end up hyperventilating or not getting enough oxygen. So I will say that if I'm going to write an F, and this is a large marker, so I'm going to write a really long F. I did exhale on this stroke because if I am inhaling halfway through, what happens? I'm going to show you what happens physically in my body. If I'm exhaling and I inhale as I'm doing a downstroke, what happens is my lungs expand. I have boobs, so they go out. My arm goes out, and pretty soon everything loses its form, right? And so when you do a long descending line, definitely exhale. Now, if you want to inhale on your ascending, great. But do be mindful of your breath as you letter, because especially if you're not working with a brush, but if you're working with, say, a steel nib or a brass nib, something metal on paper, that takes a lot, and even pointed pen, that takes a lot of concentration with your breathing. So excellent question. Any other questions before we go on to the next piece? Because I want to make sure we have enough time to letter some of our key takeaways. And I'll give you a moment to put those in. Excellent. So these are some brush tips. So if you go back to actually, I wanted to show you just a few other styles. So this is an italic style that I teach. Now, if you have a word that may not be lovely, it might be something that has a lot of passion to it, then you might want to consider doing more of a trajectory style, lettering style. And I would suggest, if you want to learn this, Jürgen Verkempst, and I'm sorry if I butchered his last name, does a beautiful job, and I believe this is how we spell it. He does a beautiful job of teaching how to write a more trajectory, very sharp style. Now, if I were to write something like the word love and I want it to be, more rounded, I'm going to write slower. Not my best love, but you get the idea. And then another lettering style that I absolutely love, which is very stylized, um, would be, and I'll show you here. And what makes this different could be the E, the way that I cross my T, the way I put this flourish in the Y, the way I connect my S might come across here. And I love the work by Aspasia at Koos Design. And she's a beautiful teacher and she has this beautiful retro brush style that's gorgeous. And so I don't, even though I learned these, I don't teach these. I teach more of an italic style. Yes, thank you so much, Angie, for putting Jurgen's correct name in the chat. So going back to what you free wrote earlier, is there something you want to write, either a word, um, or a short phrase? When I see the word complete, I think, oh my gosh, I'm never complete. I'm always transforming. But it might be your love completes me, right? So give it a little bit of context. But think about a word or a phrase that you would like to letter, and whatever lettering style you choose, or if you want to letter along with me, I'll do that now.
Heather,
Yeah.
is the word from our first or our second or either?
Okay, yes, it can be from either your first or your second, whatever really calls out to you and you want to remember. Take your time. You might have to write it a few times to get it right. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be felt. You might run out of room. Mistakes are welcome here. Remember to let your hand move at that pace, whether it's fast or slow. And I just want to show you too that Neuland has 3 different, well, actually 5 different size brush markers, but my favorites are that big one, that number 1, and then this is called a fine one flex. So for those of you that are using like the, I would say Tombow Fudenosuke, this would be very comparable. See if I can find one that has a little bit sharper of a nib. And again, all of these nibs are replaceable. And so you might decide you want to just write it in pencil. You might decide you want to write it on a different piece of paper, maybe something nicer. You might replace the word love with a heart. You might even mix up what kind of letters you use. Think about how you might use this. You might cut this out, carry it with you. You might put it on your altar or tape it to your bathroom mirror. You might even look at it and say, wow, I didn't even know that I would come up with this term out of a grieving exercise. And if you feel moved, if it comforts you, feel free to type whatever your message or your word in the chat. You don't have to. And if you do, it might be great fodder for someone else just to write over and over and feel into those beautiful words. And I just want to thank all of you for allowing, creating this safe space for us to witness the courage of giving grief a voice so we may carry out our grief together. And I love this. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Oh, yes. Love, life, laughter, learning. I see grief as my great teacher at this point in my life. Thank you. A different tomorrow. I think hope is one of our greatest tools, right, to get us through grief. I see you in the sun. What a wonderful way to remind yourself of someone. All you have to do is look at the light, right? Farewell. And farewell can be such a meaningful word for those who are either letting go, saying goodbye. Thank you for saying, I accept my whole self. That's right. I love that. I often say that I am, even though a part of me is missing, I am living through my life with two souls in my heart. So accepting of the whole self is beautiful. Thank you. Compassion. And I will say this, thank you so much for that word of compassion. It could be self-compassion. It could be compassion for others. If any of you are dealing with grief, and chances are you meet up with people who don't know what to say or they say the wrong things, having compassion and forgiveness for those helps deepen our own grief, even though it's hard. Thank you for saying embrace the in-between. It's those spaces in between where what wants to emerge gives it room to do that. And embrace the in-between may mean something else to you. Denise, did you have something you wanted to add? If not, I'll just go ahead and mute you. Oh, Jody, thank you. What still lives in me is me. That's right. Some of us find our core truths through the grieving process. Some of us stay the same. Some of us become something new. Your love makes me a better person. Oh, I just want to thank all of you for having the courage again to show up today and to share these beautiful words. I know I'm going to save the chat. So thank you for that. And would love for you to take one last slow breath with me from that belly breath up to the heart and exhale. Inhaling what wants to be inspired, exhaling what wants to be expelled or let go. And I just want to remind all of you to let your hand carry what spoken words often cannot. I hope you find a lot of comfort in the ritual of free writing. And even if it's a single word, even if it doesn't matter anything to anyone else, draw it with care, with presence, and go ahead and give your grief a shape and a voice. I look forward to lettering with you again in the space where letters and hearts connect. If it's okay, Angie, can I make a couple of announcements?
Absolutely. Please do. And then I will do everything you need to. And then I want to say,
Yeah. So I'm excited to share that soon I'll be offering a journal filled with prompts and how-to videos. When I say soon, it's probably going to be 6 months because grief often gets in the way. I need to make space for it to show up. But I have gathered a lot of prompts. For those of you who follow me, you know I write a lot. I read, I share a lot of my poetry. I don't share a lot of my poetry because it's so raw and it's so personal to me. But I am pulling together a journal full of prompts and how-to videos of these soul tenderizing exercises to bring you closer to the grieving process so that you can transform with what my beloved talked about, kindness, love, and grace. So you can check out my website, letslettertogether.com. It's not currently up, but if you can look out for more Let Grief Speak opportunities, I will be sharing more free online sessions like this, working through some of the exercises. And where I specialize in lettering is with Blackwing pencils, Neuland markers, and I host calligraphy classes with master calligraphers Carol Dubosh, Mike Gold, and Sharon Zoigan on my website. So I want to thank Angie and Jill for organizing this event and holding a space for calligraphy to be a part of our meditation practices. And for all the people showed up today, I was so happy to see more than just, a handful of people wanting to share our grief and carry those together. So thank you for holding that space for calligraphy to be a meditative practice. And I just want to remind everyone to continue to let your grief speak because it deserves a place in our world. Yeah, thank you.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, Heather. So I want to
I'll add
say,
you here.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say a big thank you to you. That session was everything. You are an incredible
Thank you.
presenter, teacher, but person. Like your heart comes out to us. You share so much of, the part that we need to tap into ourselves
Mhm.
and the part, like the technical part, like you have
Yeah.
so much knowledge.
Mhm.
And I learned so much about this technical part. And I've been doing this for a long time, but so many big mind blown. I couldn't find the
Oh,
mind
good.
blown emoji. But this was so wonderful. I thank you so much. I
Yeah.
will be following you. I will be looking for your journal. I
Mhm.
cannot wait till it's out. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you next time.
And thank you, everyone. Bye.